high importance for you especially, because you know that some parts of logistics international is gone through Baltic ports and Riga port, and this is still a good opportunity because it needs to be developed, and I think Latvia could be one of the points. And components, parts and supplies. Everybody, beginning from Russian companies and then coming to international companies which start, for example, auto supplies in Russia, says there is a lack of reliable suppliers with reasonable price-quality ratio. So, and all of them either have to, for example, Toyota or companies like them, either to pool some international suppliers, or it's hard to find some Russian. So it's also, I think, a very good opportunity. And you know that we are currently very highly investing in innovations. As usual, there are more words than things, but I think it's usual for all the countries all over the world. But still, we investing a lot of money in innovations. For example, if you know Rosnano Corporation, which is governmentally funded investment fund just to invest in nanotechnologies, and they have already invested 3 billion and still to invest around 5 billion just in nanotechnologies. So, and we are not just investing in Russian projects, but all over the world. There are already projects in US, in Europe, and I think if you have some ideas, you are welcome. There are a lot of money which now plan to be invested in innovations. So, and finally, some just small considerations about Latvia and why Russia is the best place for you to come. So, first of all, I think despite how you can look at these facts, but Russian language, I think most of the population in Latvia speaks or understands Russian. It's a very good competitive advantage if you do business in Russia, because English speakers, the ratio is not so high as in other countries. So, logistics, close historical relations, and still Russia is not so competitive and mature market as other European markets on which I think most of you are currently working. And still it's growing with much faster than all mature European markets. So I had some ideas which I think could stimulate. So for example, one potential hub for travelers to Europe. So I think this company called GIA Baltic, and then you have a very good advantage that from Riga there are Ryanair flights to Europe. Probably you know that there are several hundreds of thousands of Russian people which usually come to Finland, to Tampere or Helsinki to fly to Europe. So now you could compete for these flows. And these are tourist people which will not only travel, they also will buy, invest, etc. For sure, there are some problems. For example, when we plan to come for this GIA summit in Riga, my colleague tried to apply for Latvian visa, but it was for her more convenient to receive finally Finnish visa, because it was very simple to receive Finnish, but Latvian was very hard to receive. Springboard to EU markets. I know several partners and clients of our company which are thinking about international expansion, and they are thinking about European markets. What differs Latvia? Many people still knows and speaks Russian, so they can more easily move here. Latvian market is already Europe, but still is not so competitive. So that's the image of the Latvia and other Baltic states. So it's some of them wants first of all to establish some office in Latvia and then move to another European countries. So I think it could be also a good opportunity. Gambling. It's not just a joke because maybe some of you know that from the 1st January of 2010 all the casinos and gambling points were closed and it was prohibited. We have just 3 gambling zones now in Russia. But as we can all realize, in Riga there are a lot of casinos, etc. It's also a good service point. I think I'm really serious about it. So, but the main topic is still niches. In Russian market, there are still a lack of niche players in each segment. And especially we can turn here to private labels, retailers looking for qualified suppliers and distributors ready to sign contracts for this. And finally, don't forget about other CIS countries, because if you would compare, for example, not Kazakhstan, Kazakhstan is already a relatively developed market, but still, Ukraine, Belarus, Tajikistan, etc. All these markets are, there are still people who speak Russian, not so many speaking English, I'm sure, and I think you know all this. But these markets are not so structured and the level of competition is far behind the level of Russia. So I think there are also many opportunities because still language is a very good business tool and competitive advantage. Very interesting question. You know, generally I would say for sure that for many companies China or Brazil could be more promising than EU markets. But the first question is mentality, because still many things that China and Brazil are very far from Russia, but EU is very near. So I would say that many companies which also, you know, they are trying to buy some small assets in Europe, for example, some Italian manufacturer of, for example, taps or mixers, or some German manufacturer of, I don't remember, some industrial equipment, and thus they acquire some technologies, but as well some distribution channels to move to Europe. So I think it's a question of case by case.